The spaceship rumbled loudly as it descended into the thick atmosphere of the uncharted planet. Captain Marcus's hands gripped the controls tightly, his eyes scanning the readings on the dashboard. The surface below was a barren, rocky wasteland, broken only by strange glowing patches of vegetation. It was dangerous terrain, but they had no choice. The distress signal they had intercepted led them here. "We're coming in hot," shouted Alina, the co-pilot, her voice tense but steady. "Hold it together, Alina. We've got this," Marcus replied, his voice calm but firm. The ship jolted as it landed, dust and debris flying into the air. The crew of 5 quickly unbuckled their harnesses and grabbed their gear. They were explorers, trained for the unexpected, but no one could prepare for what they were about to find. "Let's move out," Marcus commanded, his voice cutting through the hum of the ship's systems powering down. The team stepped out into the alien world, their boots crunching against the rocky ground. The air was heavy, tinted with an eerie green haze that made everything look otherworldly. They followed the source of the distress signal, their equipment beeping steadily as they moved closer. "Over here," called Ethan, the team's medic. The group rushed to where Ethan was crouched. Lying in a shallow crater was a figure unlike anything they had ever seen. It was an alien, humanoid in shape, but covered from head to toe in a sleek metallic suit that shimmered in the dim light. The suit had intricate patterns etched into it, like a combination of technology and art. "Is it alive?" Alina asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Ethan carefully scanned the figure with his medical device. "Barely. Its vitals are weak. We need to get it back to the ship." As they lifted the alien, they noticed how light it was, almost fragile. Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that they were handling something incredibly important and incredibly dangerous. Back on the ship, Ethan worked quickly to stabilize the alien. Its suit seemed to react to their movements, glowing faintly as if trying to protect its wearer. "This suit is like nothing I've ever seen," said Dr. Ilara, the team's scientist. She was examining the patterns on the suit, her eyes wide with fascination. "It's not just armor. It's alive. It's connected to it somehow." "We don't have time for a science lesson, Ilara," Marcus said sharply. "Can we save it or not?" Ethan hesitated. "The suit is damaged. It's failing to keep the alien alive. If we don't remove it, we'll lose it." A heavy silence fell over the room. They all understood the risk. Removing the suit could harm the alien further, but leaving it on was no longer an option. "Do it," Marcus ordered. Ethan nodded and began carefully detaching the suit, piece by piece. As each piece came off, the alien's true form was revealed. Its skin was pale and almost translucent, with veins of light running through it. Its features were delicate yet intimidating, with sharp, glowing eyes that seemed to pierce through the air. When the last piece of the suit was removed, the alien's body convulsed slightly before going still. The crew held their breath, waiting. Suddenly, the alien's eyes snapped open, and it gasped for air. Its glowing veins pulsed brightly, lighting up the room. Everyone took a step back, their instincts screaming danger. Then the alien spoke. Its voice was smooth and sharp, echoing in the small medical bay. "Humans, why did you undress me?" The crew froze. The alien's tone was filled with anger and something else. Fear. "Do you take pleasure in my vulnerability?" It continued, sitting up slowly. Its piercing eyes scanned each of them, accusing and full of mistrust. "We were trying to save you," Marcus said, his voice steady but defensive. "Your suit was failing. You would have died if we didn't remove it." The alien tilted its head, studying him. "Save me," it repeated, as if the concept was foreign. "Yes," Ethan said, stepping forward cautiously. "We mean you no harm. You were injured. We only wanted to help." The alien's eyes narrowed. "In my culture, vulnerability is shameful. To be seen like this is a disgrace. You have stripped me of my honor." The crew exchanged uneasy glances, This was not the reaction they had expected. "We didn't know," Marcus said carefully. "We're not from your world. We didn't mean to offend you." The alien didn't respond immediately. Instead, it looked down at its exposed body, its glowing veins dimming slightly. For a moment, it seemed to wrestle with its emotions. Anger, fear, and confusion all flickering across its face. Finally, it looked up and said, "I am Qatar of the Vernakai. If what you say is true, then you have much to prove. My people do not trust easily." Marcus straightened. "Neither do we. But if you'll let us, we'll show you that you're safe with us." Qatar's eyes softened slightly, but its voice remained firm. "We shall see, human. But know this, I will not tolerate betrayal." The tension in the room was thick as the crew exchanged uncertain looks. They had saved Qatar's life, but earning its trust would be an entirely different challenge. For now, one thing was clear. This encounter was only the beginning of a much larger story. The alien's mistrust. Qatar sat upright on the edge of the medical base cot, its glowing veins pulsating faintly as it scanned the humans with unblinking, piercing eyes. The air was thick with tension, and no one dared to move too quickly. "You say you saved me," Qatar began, its voice sharp yet controlled. "But where I come from, such acts often hide ulterior motives. Why should I believe you?" Marcus, standing a few steps away, met Qatar's gaze. "Because if we wanted to harm you, we wouldn't have risked our lives to bring you here," he said evenly. Qatar's glowing eyes narrowed. "Words are easy. Actions reveal true intent. And your actions, removing my suit, have left me defenseless. I am exposed, stripped of what little dignity I have left." Dr. Ilara stepped forward cautiously, holding a tablet filled with readings from Qatar's biological scans. "We didn't understand how important your suit was to you. In human culture, vulnerability isn't seen as dishonorable. Sometimes, it's a sign of trust. We only wanted to help." "Trust," Qatar repeated, its tone laced with disbelief. "Humans speak of trust, yet you hold me captive in this metal cage." It gestured toward the walls of the medical bay, its translucent skin catching the dim light. Alina, who had been silent until now, couldn't help but interject. "You're not a prisoner. This is a rescue ship, not a prison. We're explorers. Helping others is part of what we do." Qatar's gaze shifted to Alina, studying her closely. "Explorers," it said softly, as if testing the word. "You risk your lives venturing into the unknown. Why? For conquest, for resources, or simply for the thrill of it?" "For understanding," Marcus replied before Alina could. His tone was firm, almost defiant. "The galaxy is vast, and we've barely scratched its surface. We explore because we want to learn, to connect with others, even if they're different from us." Qatar tilted its head, its glowing veins brightening slightly. "Curiosity, it is a dangerous trait. It has destroyed entire civilizations." A heavy silence fell over the room. The crew didn't know what Qatar meant, but the weight of its words was unmistakable. After a moment, Ethan cleared his throat. "Look, Qatar, I understand you're scared and confused. If our roles were reversed, I'd probably feel the same way. But we're not your enemies. We just want to help you recover." Qatar's sharp eyes softened for the briefest moment, but its mistrust remained evident. "If that is true," it said slowly, "then prove it. Return my suit to me." Marcus hesitated. "Your suit is damaged. It's barely holding together, and we don't have the technology to fix it. Dr. Ilara is doing everything she can to analyze it." "But you mean you are studying it?" Qatar interrupted, its tone icy. "Of course. Humans cannot resist poking and prodding at what they do not understand. What secrets have you uncovered while I was unconscious?" Dr. Ilara bristled at the accusation, but kept her voice calm. "We're not trying to uncover secrets. We just want to figure out how your suit works so we can repair it. It's incredible, unlike anything we've ever seen. It's alive, isn't it? Qatar's expression hardened. It is not for you to understand. The bond between a Vernakai and their symbiotic armor is sacred. You have violated that bond. Sacred or not, the suit was failing, Marcus said firmly. Without our intervention, you'd be dead right now. You don't have to thank us, but at least recognize that we saved your life. Qatar's glowing veins dimmed as it considered Marcus's words. For a moment, the room was silent except for the faint hum of the ship's engines. Very well, Qatar said finally. I will not deny that I owe you my survival. But understand this, humans, my trust is not given lightly. If you betray me, I will ensure you regret it. Alina crossed her arms, a hint of defiance in her voice. Noted. But for what it's worth, you're not the only one taking a risk here. You could have turned out to be hostile, but we took a chance on you anyway. Qatar's sharp eyes met Alina's, and for the first time, there was a flicker of something other than mistrust, perhaps respect. You speak boldly, human, Qatar said. Perhaps I have underestimated you. Before anyone could respond, the ship's lights flickered, and an alarm blared. Marcus grabbed his communicator. Bridge, report. A voice crackled through the speaker. Captain, we've detected an incoming vessel. Unidentified, and closing fast. Qatar's veins flared brightly, and its voice turned urgent. They found me. Who's they? Marcus demanded, but Qatar was already on its feet, its weakened body suddenly moving with purpose. There is no time for explanations, Qatar said, its tone commanding. Prepare your ship for battle. If you wish to survive, you will follow my lead. Marcus exchanged a tense look with his crew. Whatever was coming, it was clear that this mysterious alien was bringing trouble, and answers they weren't ready for. The truth about the suit. The ship shuddered violently as the mysterious vessel drew closer. Red lights flashed in the corridors, and the alarm's piercing wail filled the air. Marcus and his crew scrambled to the bridge, Qatar moving behind them with surprising speed despite its weakened state. On the bridge, the atmosphere was chaotic. The ship's sensors displayed an ominous silhouette on the main screen, a massive angular vessel bristling with weapons. Captain, they're locking weapons on us, shouted Jenna, the ship's navigator, her hands flying across the controls. Raise shields and prepare evasive maneuvers. Marcus barked, his voice cutting through the noise. But Qatar stepped forward, its glowing veins pulsing with urgency. Your shields will not hold against them. Your weapons will not stop them. They are hunters, relentless, merciless, and far more advanced than you. Alina turned from her station, panic flashing in her eyes. Who are they? And why are they after you? Qatar's expression hardened. They are remnants of the Krivok Dominion, the ones who annihilated my people. They hunt what little remains of the Vernakai, ensuring our extinction is absolute. The weight of the revelation settled over the crew like a heavy fog. Ethan frowned. If they're so advanced, how are we supposed to fight them? You cannot, Qatar said bluntly. But perhaps I can. The crew exchanged uncertain glances. Marcus stepped forward, his tone firm but cautious. How? Qatar turned its glowing eyes to Dr. Ilara. You have studied my suit, yes. You have seen what it is capable of. Ilara hesitated. We've barely scratched the surface. But yes, it's clear your suit is more than just armor. It's alive. It is symbiotic, Qatar corrected. A fusion of biology and technology. It enhances my strength, sharpens my senses, and links me to the collective memories of my people. Without it, I am vulnerable. With it, I am unstoppable. Marcus folded his arms, his eyes narrowing. If that's true, why did it fail you in the first place? Qatar's glowing veins dimmed slightly, a flicker of shame crossing its face. Because it was damaged during my escape. The Krivok tracked my vessel and destroyed it. I barely made it to this planet before the suit's energy reserves were depleted. Dr. Ilara's voice was hesitant but curious. When we removed the suit, we discovered encrypted data embedded in it. It looked like memories, or maybe blueprints. What is it storing? Qatar's gaze snapped to her, and its voice was sharp. You accessed the memory core. Not entirely, Ilara said quickly, raising her hands defensively. We didn't unlock much, just fragments. But what we saw, it looked like a record of your civilization. Your technology, your history. Qatar's veins pulsed brighter, a mix of anger and desperation in its tone. Those records are sacred. They are all that remains of my people. If the Krivak obtain them, they will erase us from existence, not just our lives, but our memory. We will be forgotten. The crew fell silent, the weight of Qatar's words sinking in. Marcus spoke first. What do we need to do to fix your suit? Qatar hesitated, its glowing veins flickering faintly. The energy core must be recharged, and the symbiotic interface must be reactivated. But your technology is primitive. It may not be capable of such a task. Ilara's eyes lit up with determination. Let me try. I've already been studying the suit. If you guide me, I might be able to repair it. You? Qatar asked, its tone skeptical. The human. Yes, a human, Ilara said firmly. You said it yourself. We're curious. Let me put that to good use. Qatar studied her for a moment, then nodded reluctantly. Very well, but we must work quickly. The Krivak will not wait. In the lab, Ilara and Qatar worked side by side, the alien's glowing veins providing an eerie light in the dim room. The suit lay on the table, its intricate patterns pulsing faintly as Ilara examined its damaged core. This design, it's incredible, Ilara murmured. It's like the suit is alive, adapting to your needs in real time. It is more than alive, Qatar said, its tone reverent. It is an extension of me. Without it, I am incomplete. Ilara nodded, her hands moving carefully as she adjusted the energy conduits. If we can stabilize the core, the suit should come back online. But I'll need to reroute some of its systems to bypass the damaged components. Qatar watched her work, its sharp eyes filled with both suspicion and admiration. You are skilled for someone so primitive. Ilara smirked. I'll take that as a compliment. Back on the bridge, Marcus monitored the Krivak vessel's movements. It was circling them like a predator, its weapons glowing ominously. Captain, they're hailing us, Jenna said, her voice tight. Marcus's jaw tightened. Put it on screen. The screen flickered to life, revealing a cold, reptilian face with eyes like burning coals. The Krivak commander sneered. Humans, surrender the Vernakai, and we may let you live. Marcus stood his ground. We don't hand over innocent lives. The Krivak let out a guttural laugh. Then prepare to die with your newfound pet. The transmission ended abruptly, and the ship shuddered as the Krivak opened fire. In the lab, the suit suddenly flared to life, its intricate patterns glowing brightly as energy coursed through it. It's working, Ilara exclaimed, stepping back as the suit lifted slightly off the table, its pieces reassembling themselves. Qatar stepped forward, its glowing veins brightening as it reached for the suit. At last, it said softly, I am whole again. The suit wrapped itself around Qatar, merging seamlessly with its body. The alien stood taller, its presence radiating power and determination. Qatar turned to Ilara, its voice steady and commanding. Now we fight. The unseen enemy. The Krivak warship loomed closer, its massive frame cutting through the void like a predator stalking its prey. On board the human vessel, tension was palpable. Every crew member could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on them. The Krivak had made their intentions clear. Surrender Qatar, or face annihilation. We've got incoming fire, Jenna shouted from the navigation console. The ship rocked violently as an energy blast grazed the shields. Shields are holding, but we can't take too many hits like that, Alina reported, her hands dancing across the control panel. Marcus gritted his teeth. Keep us moving. We need to buy time. The doors to the bridge slid open, and Qatar stepped in, now fully encased in its symbiotic suit. The transformation was stunning. The suit pulsed with a bright, otherworldly energy, its intricate patterns glowing in sync with Qatar's veins. Its presence filled the room with a commanding aura. "What is your plan, human?" Qatar asked, its voice sharper and more resonant than before. "We're trying to keep the shields up and avoid getting blown to bits," Marcus replied. "Unless you've got a better idea, now would be the time to share." Qatar stepped forward, gazing at the tactical display of the Krivok vessel. "Their weapons are designed to overwhelm shields and disable ships quickly. Your vessel is no match for their firepower." "Well, that's comforting," Alina muttered under her breath. But Qatar continued, "They are not invincible. Their shields are vulnerable to concentrated disruption at close range. If I can board their ship, I can disable their defenses from within." Marcus turned to Qatar, eyebrows raised. "You're saying you want to infiltrate their ship? Alone?" "Yes," Qatar said simply. "Your ship cannot withstand their attack much longer. It is the only way." "That's suicide," Ethan interjected. "You barely survived the last encounter with them. What makes you think this will be any different?" Qatar's glowing eyes met Ethan's. "Because this time, I am not alone. I have my suit, and I have the memories of my people guiding me." And Qatar hesitated for the briefest moment. "I have your trust. Do I not?" The crew exchanged uncertain glances. Marcus finally broke the silence. "If we're doing this, we're doing it together. We'll draw their fire and give you an opening. But you'd better be damned sure you can pull this off." "I will not fail," Qatar said with quiet determination. The plan in motion. The crew worked quickly to prepare for the risky maneuver. Jenna calculated the ship's approach vector. Alina rerouted power to the shields, and Ilara provided Qatar with a communication device to stay in contact. "This is a one-shot deal," Marcus said as he stood with Qatar in the airlock. "Once you're aboard their ship, we won't be able to extract you until their defenses are down." "I understand," Qatar replied. Marcus hesitated, then extended a hand. "Good luck." Qatar regarded the gesture curiously before clasping Marcus's hand. "Your bravery is unexpected. Perhaps humans are not as primitive as I thought." Before Marcus could respond, the airlock hissed open, and Qatar launched itself into the void. Its suit flared with energy, propelling it toward the Krivok vessel like a comet. Aboard the Krivok ship, Qatar landed silently on the outer hull, its suit adapting instantly to the hostile environment. It moved with precision, bypassing security systems and melting through bulkheads with a focused energy beam. Inside, the Krivok ship was a labyrinth of dark corridors, illuminated only by the faint red glow of warning lights. The air was thick with the scent of metallic oil, and the faint hum of machinery echoed through the halls. Qatar moved swiftly, its suit providing a tactical map of the ship's layout. It avoided patrols, its movements almost ghost-like. At last, it reached the core of the ship's shielding system. The massive energy generator pulsed rhythmically, powering the Krivok's impenetrable defenses. "This is Qatar," it whispered into the communicator. "I have located the shield core, disabling it now." "Understood." Marcus's voice crackled through the device. "Make it quick. We're barely holding together out here." Qatar extended a hand, and the suit responded instantly, generating a field of disruptive energy. The shield core began to spark and flicker as its systems overloaded. The Krivok's counterattack. The Krivok were not oblivious to the sabotage. Alarms blared throughout the ship, and Qatar found itself surrounded by heavily armed soldiers. "Halt, Vernakai!" One of them snarled, leveling a weapon at Qatar. Qatar straightened, its suit glowing brighter as it prepared for battle. "You destroyed my people," it said, its voice cold and resolute. "Now you will pay for your sins." The Krivok opened fire, but Qatar was faster. The suit's energy field absorbed the blasts, redirecting them back at the attackers. In a flurry of motion, Qatar tore through the Krivok ranks, its movements a perfect blend of precision and fury. Despite its skill, the numbers were overwhelming. Qatar fought relentlessly, but the strain was evident. A desperate gamble. On the human ship, the crew watched as the Krivok shields flickered and began to fail. "Qatar's done it," Jenna exclaimed. "Not yet," Marcus said grimly, watching the display. "Their weapons are still operational. If we don't act now, they'll tear us apart." "Then let's finish this," Alina said, her voice steely. Marcus nodded. "All weapons, target the Krivok ship. Fire everything we've got." The human ship unleashed a barrage of missiles and energy blasts, striking the Krivok vessel with precision. The Krivok's defenses crumbled under the assault. The escape. Inside the Krivok ship, Qatar saw its opportunity. With the shield core destroyed and the human assault intensifying, the Krivok were in disarray. "This is Qatar," it said into the communicator. "Their ship is compromised. Extract me now." A nearby explosion rocked the corridor, and Qatar stumbled but quickly recovered. It sprinted toward the breach it had created earlier, leaping into the void just as the Krivok ship began to collapse. The human ship's tractor beam locked onto Qatar, pulling it to safety just as the Krivok vessel exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The bridge erupted into cheers, but Marcus remained focused. "Qatar, are you all right?" "I am intact," came the calm reply. "And for the first time in many cycles, I am victorious." The crew exchanged relieved smiles, but they all knew this victory was only a small step in a much larger war. The turning point. The aftermath of the battle left the human ship battered but intact. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, and smoke hung in the air like a grim reminder of how close they had come to destruction. Yet, despite the chaos, a strange sense of unity had settled over the crew. Marcus stood at the center of the bridge, his gaze fixed on the main screen where the remnants of the Krivok vessel floated lifelessly in space. "Damage report," he barked, his voice firm. "Shields at 15%. Hull integrity compromised in several sections, but life support is stable," Alina replied, exhaustion evident in her tone. "We're lucky to still be here." "Luck had little to do with it," Qatar said, stepping onto the bridge. Its suit glowed faintly, evidence of the strain it had endured. "Your actions were reckless, but effective. For that, I commend you." Marcus turned to face Qatar, his arms crossed. "We didn't do it for your commendation. We did it to survive, and to keep you alive. Speaking of which, you owe us some answers." The alien regarded Marcus with a steady gaze. "You have earned them," it said after a moment. The history of the Vernakai. The crew gathered in the common area, the tension of battle giving way to quiet curiosity. Qatar stood at the center, its glowing veins pulsing in rhythm with its words. Long ago, the Vernakai were a proud and powerful race. It began, its voice steady and resonant. Our technology surpassed that of any other civilization. We were explorers, much like you, driven by a thirst for knowledge and a desire to connect with the galaxy's many inhabitants. Qatar paused, its gaze distant as if reliving the memories. But our curiosity became our downfall. We encountered the Krivok Dominion, ruthless conquerors who saw our advancements as a threat. They waged a war of annihilation, erasing entire worlds and enslaving those who survived. The crew listened in stunned silence as Qatar continued. "In a desperate bid to preserve our legacy, my people encoded our knowledge, culture, and history into the memory cores of our symbiotic suits. Each suit became a living archive, entrusted to a chosen few. I am one of the last of those chosen." "What about your homeworld?" Ethan asked, his voice soft. Qatar's glowing veins dimmed and its shoulders sagged. "It is gone, reduced to ashes." The Krivok left nothing behind but death and silence. The unveiled purpose. Ilara leaned forward, her eyes filled with a mix of sympathy and fascination. So, your suit isn't just armor. It's a repository of your entire civilization. Yes, Qatar replied. It is both my shield and my burden. The memories it holds are not just data. They are voices, fragments of lives long gone. They guide me, but they also remind me of what has been lost. Marcus frowned. And the Krivok want these memory cores to, what? Erase your history completely. Precisely, Qatar said. To destroy a people is one thing. To erase their memory is to ensure they never existed at all. That is the Krivok's ultimate goal. A heavy silence fell over the room as the weight of Qatar's words sank in. Why did you come to this sector? Marcus finally asked. What were you looking for? Qatar's gaze hardened. There is a beacon, an artifact created by the Vernakai before our fall. It holds the key to unlocking the full potential of the memory cores. With it, the fragments of my people can be restored, and our legacy can endure. And the Krivok know about this beacon? Alina asked. They do, Qatar said grimly. That is why they hunt me. If they find the beacon, they will destroy it. And with it, any hope for my people's rebirth. The crew's decision. Marcus exchanged a glance with Ilara, then looked around at his crew. We've been through hell just keeping Qatar alive. Now you're telling us the real fight hasn't even started. You are free to walk away, Qatar said, its tone neutral but its glowing veins betraying a flicker of uncertainty. This is not your battle. I would not blame you for leaving. Ethan shook his head. We didn't save you just to let you die out here. If this beacon is as important as you say, we'll help you find it. Alina smirked. Besides, it's not like we've got anything better to do. Qatar's glowing veins brightened, and its voice softened. Your willingness to help, it is unexpected. Rarely have I encountered such selflessness. Marcus stood, his expression resolute. We're not doing this out of selflessness. If the Krivok are willing to destroy entire civilizations, they're a threat to everyone. Helping you might be the only way to stop them. Qatar inclined its head. Then we are allies. The road ahead. The crew spent hours poring over star charts and ancient data retrieved from Qatar's suit. The beacon's location was hidden among countless star systems, its signal faint and difficult to trace. Finally, Jenna spoke up, her voice tinged with excitement. I think I've found something. A signal matching the beacon's frequency, deep in uncharted space. Marcus nodded. Set a course. Let's see what we're dealing with. As the ship jumped into hyperspace, Qatar stood at the observation deck, staring out at the swirling light. You seem deep in thought, Ilara said, approaching cautiously. I am considering what lies ahead, Qatar replied. The beacon is my people's last hope. If we fail, we won't fail, Ilara said firmly. Not as long as we're in this together. Qatar turned to her, its glowing eyes filled with something close to gratitude. Together, yes. For the first time since the journey began, Qatar allowed itself to feel a glimmer of hope. The unseen trials of the beacon. The ship exited hyperspace with a sudden jolt, emerging into a vast expanse of swirling nebula and jagged asteroid fields. The crew stared at the view in awe, their screens filled with readings they could barely interpret. The star system was unlike anything they'd encountered, chaotic, beautiful, and teeming with hidden dangers. There's no mistaking it, Jenna said, her voice laced with a mix of excitement and fear. The beacon signal is coming from somewhere in this mess. Of course it wouldn't be easy, Alina muttered, adjusting the ship's trajectory. What's life without a little danger, right? Marcus leaned over her shoulder, studying the display. Can we navigate through this? It won't be pretty, but I can get us there, Alina replied. As long as nothing tries to kill us on the way. Qatar, standing at the edge of the bridge, stared intently at the view. Its suit glowed faintly, resonating with the faint signal of the beacon. The Vernakai did not choose this location by accident, it said. Only those worthy of its power would dare to approach. "Well, we're approaching," Marcus said. "Let's hope we're considered worthy." The nebula's wrath. As the ship entered the nebula, the crew immediately realized the journey would be far from simple. The swirling gases interfered with sensors, leaving them half-blind, while sudden bursts of energy rocked the ship without warning. "Shields at 60%. Jenna called out, her voice strained. "Alina, keep us steady," Marcus shouted as the ship jolted again. "I'm trying, but this thing's like flying through a minefield blindfolded," Alina snapped, gripping the controls tightly. Qatar stepped forward, its glowing veins pulsating in rhythm with the energy bursts outside. "The nebula is alive with volatile energy. Your ship cannot endure this for long." "Thanks for the pep talk," Alina muttered. Qatar ignored her and turned to Marcus. "I can guide you. The suit is attuned to the beacon's signal. It will show me the safest path." Marcus hesitated for only a moment. "All right, Alina, let Qatar take the lead." With Qatar's guidance, the ship weaved through the nebula with remarkable precision. The alien suit glowed brighter with each passing moment, its connection to the beacon growing stronger. "We're getting closer," Qatar said, its voice steady. "But the trials have only begun." The Guardians awaken. As they neared the source of the signal, the nebula's turbulence subsided, revealing a massive structure hidden within the swirling clouds. It was ancient, its surface covered in glowing runes that pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. "That must be it," Ilara said, her voice filled with awe. "The beacon." Before anyone could respond, the ship's alarms blared. Jenna's hands flew across the controls. "We've got company." Multiple energy signatures closing in fast. The crew watched in horror as dozens of sleek, automated drones emerged from the shadows, their metallic frames glinting ominously. "They're protecting the beacon," Qatar said, its tone calm but firm. "This is the first trial. Only those who prove their strength may proceed." "They don't look interested in negotiations," Marcus said grimly. Battle stations. The drones attacked with precision, their energy weapons slicing through the void. The ship's defenses strained under the onslaught, its shields flickering dangerously. "Shields at 30%, Jenna shouted. "We can't hold this for long." Qatar turned to Marcus. "I must go to the beacon. The defenses will not relent until I prove myself worthy." "That's suicide," Ethan protested. "You can't take on all of them alone." "I do not intend to," Qatar replied, its suit glowing brighter. "But I cannot face this trial from here. Will you buy me the time I need?" Marcus clenched his fists but nodded. "We'll hold them off." Qatar's trial. Qatar launched itself from the ship, its suit propelling it toward the ancient structure. The drones immediately turned their attention to it, but Qatar moved with incredible speed and agility, dodging their attacks with ease. As Qatar landed on the structure's surface, the rooms flared to life, and a deep, resonant voice echoed through the void. "Vernekai, why do you seek the beacon?" Qatar straightened, its voice unwavering. "I seek to restore my people, to honor their memory and ensure their legacy endures." The voice seemed to consider this. "Your people fell to their own hubris. What makes you believe you are worthy of redemption?" Qatar's glowing veins pulsed brighter. "Because I have learned from their mistakes. I do not stand here alone. I stand with those who have proven their loyalty and courage, even when they had no reason to." The runes glowed brighter, and a section of the structure opened, revealing a pathway leading deeper into its core. "Enter and face the final trial." The crew's sacrifice. Back on the ship, the battle with the drones raged on. The crew worked tirelessly to keep the ship intact, but the odds were overwhelming. "We're not going to make it," Jenna cried out as another blast rocked the ship. "We just need to hold a little longer," Marcus said, his voice resolute. Ethan gritted his teeth. "If we don't, this whole mission is over. Let's make it count." Alina nodded, her fingers flying over the controls. diverting all remaining power to the weapons. If we're going down, we're taking as many of them with us as we can. The ship unleashed a barrage of firepower, destroying several drones in quick succession. But the remaining drones closed in, their weapons primed for the kill. The beacon's activation. Inside the structure, Qatar reached the heart of the beacon. A massive glowing orb floated in the center of the chamber, its surface shifting with patterns of light. Qatar of the Vernakai, the voice intoned. Prove your worth. Qatar stepped forward, its suit glowing brighter than ever. I am not here for myself. I am here for the memory of my people, and for those who have stood by me, even when they did not have to. That is my strength. The orb flared brilliantly, and the drones outside suddenly froze. One by one, they powered down, their threat neutralized. On the ship, the crew stared in disbelief as the drones drifted lifelessly into the void. We're still alive, Alina muttered. Looks like Qatar did it, Marcus said, a faint smile breaking through his exhaustion. A glimmer of hope. Qatar emerged from the structure, the beacon's light radiating behind it. As it re-entered the ship, the crew erupted into cheers. You did it, Marcus said, clapping a hand on Qatar's shoulder. We did it, Qatar corrected, its glowing veins pulsating warmly. This victory belongs to all of us. As the ship set course for safer space, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something far greater, a new alliance. The beacon's glow faded into the distance as the battered human ship left the nebula behind, limping into the relative calm of uncharted space. The crew was silent, each member reflecting on the battle they had just survived. The weight of their victory was overshadowed by the enormity of what lay ahead. In the observation deck, Qatar stood motionless, staring out at the stars. Its symbiotic suit pulsed faintly, a rhythmic light that mirrored the alien's deep contemplation. Marcus entered quietly, carrying 2 steaming mugs. You looked like you could use some company, Marcus said, holding out one of the mugs. Qatar turned, its glowing eyes meeting Marcus's, a gesture of companionship. It said, taking the mug with careful hands, humans have peculiar customs. Marcus chuckled softly. That's one way to put it. The two stood in silence for a moment, the vastness of space stretching out before them. You accomplished something incredible back there, Marcus said finally. Not just for yourself, but for your people. That beacon, it's more than just a symbol, isn't it? Qatar nodded slowly. The beacon contains the essence of my people's legacy. It is more than knowledge or technology. It is our soul. With it, the fragments stored in the memory cores of my suit, and the few others that may remain, can be reassembled. Marcus frowned. But you said there are others. Do you think they're still out there? Qatar's glowing veins dimmed slightly. Perhaps. The Krivok hunted us relentlessly. If any survive, they are scattered and in hiding. But now, there is hope, a chance to reunite what was lost. The crew's uncertain future. In the common area, the rest of the crew gathered, their exhaustion mingling with a tentative sense of relief. All right, Alina said, breaking the silence. We survived. Somehow. What now? Dr. Ilara leaned forward, her expression thoughtful. The beacon is a treasure trove of information, not just about the Vernakai, but about their technology, culture, and history. This could be a turning point, not just for them, but for us too. But it also makes us a target, Ethan countered. The Krivok aren't going to let this go. They'll come for us, for the beacon, for Qatar. We're in deeper than ever. Jenna nodded. Ethan's right. If we keep going, we're painting a giant bullseye on our backs. Marcus entered the room, his voice cutting through the debate. That's true. But we knew the risks when we chose to help Qatar. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about standing up to the Krivok and protecting what's left of the Vernakai. Qatar stepped into the room, its presence commanding. Your actions have already proven your courage and loyalty. I do not wish to endanger you further. If you choose to leave, I will understand. The crew exchanged glances, a moment of quiet deliberation passing between them. "We're not going anywhere," Ilara said firmly. "This fight is our fight now." "Dan right," Elena added, a determined smirk on her face, preparing for the next battle. With their decision made, the crew turned their attention to the challenges ahead. The ship needed repairs, and the beacon's potential had to be fully unlocked. Qatar shared what it knew about the Vernakai's ancient technology, working closely with Ilara to decipher the beacon's functions. "It's incredible," Ilara said, her eyes glued to the holographic interface the beacon projected. "This isn't just a database, it's a living archive. It adapts, learns, evolves. It's alive." The Vernakai believed that memory was a form of life. Qatar explained, "By preserving our memories, we preserved our essence." Meanwhile, Marcus and Alina worked on strengthening the ship's defenses, knowing the Krivok would not give up so easily. "They'll come back stronger," Marcus said as he adjusted the targeting systems. "Then we'll hit them harder," Alina replied, her voice filled with defiance. The Krivok's shadow. Far from the human ship, in the dark reaches of space, a Krivok War Council convened. The destruction of their vessel and the activation of the beacon had not gone unnoticed. "This cannot be allowed to stand," the Krivok commander snarled, its reptilian eyes burning with fury. "The Vernakai's legacy must remain buried. Dispatch the fleet. Bring me the beacon and the humans who dare to defy us." The council hissed in agreement, their hatred for the Vernakai burning as fiercely as ever. An alliance is born. On board the human ship, the crew worked tirelessly to prepare for the inevitable confrontation. But they weren't alone. The beacon, now fully activated, began to transmit a signal across the galaxy, a call to any remaining Vernakai who might still be alive. Qatar stood before the beacon, its glowing veins pulsing brightly. If there are others, they will hear this call. They will know that hope still exists. "And if the Krivok hear it too?" Ethan asked. "Then we will be ready," Qatar replied, its tone resolute. The ship's sensors picked up faint responses to the beacon's signal, other memory cores activating in distant corners of the galaxy. It was a glimmer of hope, a sign that Qatar's people might not be as alone as they had thought. The final words. As the crew gathered for a final meeting, Marcus addressed them with quiet determination. "This isn't the end of the road," he said. "It's the start of something bigger. We've made enemies, but we've also made allies. And together, we'll fight for a future worth believing in." Qatar stepped forward, its voice filled with gratitude. "You have risked everything to help me. For that, I am in your debt, but this journey is no longer mine alone. It is ours." The crew nodded, their resolve stronger than ever. They had become more than a team. They had become a family, united by a shared purpose. As the ship set course for the next destination, the stars stretched out before them, infinite and full of promise. The fight was far from over, but for the first time, they felt ready to face whatever lay ahead.